Why do the human characters of One Last Monster look the way they do? Why did I choose an 80s and 90s anime-inspired design, more grounded, more realistic, instead of something flashier or more exaggerated? It actually goes back to my time studying animation at NYU during my undergraduate years. I had an instructor who told me something I'll never forget. If you can draw realistically, you can adapt to any style. There were a lot of anime fans in that class, myself included, but he really stood his ground on this point. He said, anime is great, but if you only know one style, what happens when you work on a project that looks completely different? And that stuck with me. His advice was simple: study traditional life drawing. Learn anatomy, gesture, light, all the fundamentals. Because every visual style you see in animation, no matter how stylized, comes from an understanding of how the real world and real people work first. That clicked for me because I grew up on anime like Akira, Macross Plus, Gundam, etc. Shows where the characters looked and moved like real people. They weren't cartoons, they felt human. And that realism gave their worlds emotional weight. So when I made One Last Monster, I wanted to bring that same feeling and believability. The characters have realistic proportions, normal eyes, believable anatomy, grounded expressions. Even though it's a fantasy world, I wanted it to feel cinematic, like it could almost be a live-action movie. That approach probably comes from my live-action film background as well. I look at each scene when I'm storyboarding it as if I'm shooting it with a camera, not just drawing it. I never think of scenes as flat, I think of them as taking place in 3D space. There's also a bigger reason why I chose to create One Last Monster in a realistic style. It's cultural, and it has to do with perhaps how we perceive stories. In the US, although this is less and less so these days, thankfully, there was this idea that some people believed that animation was just for kids. But in Asia or Europe and other parts of the world, animation can tell any kind of story, as deep, complex, or mature as live action. So by grounding my characters in realism, I'm hoping even non-anime fans will see One Last Monster as perhaps cinema, not just a cartoon. That is a deep wish of mine as the creator. And honestly, drawing realistically just opens doors as an artist. Yeah, it can be tedious. It's not glamorous to study anatomy or practice figure drawing for hours, but once you master realism, you can do anything. You can stylize, simplify, exaggerate, because you know what you're bending away from. You know what your basis is. A great inspiration for me while I was creating One Last Monster was the game Overwatch, which I love. It just gets balance right. Realistic anatomy mixed in with stylized anime design. It feels alive, like a universe I could go to. That's what I want for Adin and the world of One Last Monster. Something that feels larger than life but still believable. So if you're trying to find your style, start with the real world and start with real people. Master realism first, then make it your own. That is what I think brought One Last Monster to life. One drawing and one decision at a time. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel and what I'm doing with One Last Monster, please click on the Patreon link below to consider supporting, and I'll see you later. Have a great day. Thank you.